It is my utmost pleasure and honor to have today with us Mayara Assis, if I'm saying the name right, I'm hoping. Mayara, welcome to the Sweet Blasphemy podcast. Such an honor having you.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So listen, I want to pick your brains about part of the few things that you do and what you are known for. But first, perhaps for a bit of context, I want to ask you a question. Now, I don't know how things are in LA right now in terms of travels, but here in the UK and in Europe, planes are starting to take off again. We're starting to be able to fly a little bit. When you fly again and you have people around you, people sitting next to you on those planes, and sometimes very often you start to discuss with the person sitting next to you. The person next to you says, what do you do for a living? What's your answer to that?
Right. That was something that I always trying to find ways before, like I kept going around and around because it's so much, but pretty much I am a quantum energy healer and a holistic therapist. Mm-hmm. And I specialize in sacred sexuality coaching. So that's what how I can resume everything.
And when you say that to someone on the plane, especially if it's a man, do they look at you going, what do you mean? Or they go, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about?
Yeah, like the sacred sexuality piece, most people are very curious. Most people haven't really heard about. But the holistic healing, they kind of understand a little bit the holistic healing or holistic therapy, but I usually have to explain, because I feel like those terms people are not fully familiar with. Even the quantum energy healing, there is so much into it.
Yeah.
So I always have to explain a little bit, but I say personal developments and, for people as well that are on the journey of spiritual ascension or spiritual evolution, but as personal development is more keeping on earth for people that are not very familiar with spiritual terms.
Yeah.
I say personal evolution or personal developments.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for a little bit of context. Now, for conversations on this podcast, I like to have a few chapters. I think of those conversations as you and I basically writing a book together. And as such, I like to come with at least 3 to 5, chapter titles. And I'm thinking today of picking your brains on 4 different topics that are all related. I'd love to share them with you if it's okay with you, and then you tell me where you would like us to start. Okay?
Yeah.
So one of the chapters I wrote down would be about conscious dating and sacred sexuality. Another chapter, because I've heard you speak about it, and I'd love to pick your brain about, would be about the different types of orgasms and how to achieve them. A third chapter could be sexual energy transmutation. And lastly, I am interested in the sexual energy exchange between people and also the cleanse techniques that you at times share with others. So I'm not sure where you would like to start with. And first and foremost, does that sound like a plan to you?
Yes, definitely. And cool. I feel like as we talk about conscious dating, and that goes as well with the sexual energy exchange and the sexual cleanse. That goes pretty much together with the conscious dating. And then that's usually how I share, with my people, my community. And then we take it into the sacred sexuality and different types of orgasms. And, we build into that.
Beautiful. So let us talk about conscious dating. What is conscious dating compared to normal dating?
Yeah. So to start talking about all of these, I really need to understand about sexual energy. What is sexual energy? And then to talk about sexual energy, we get to understand a little bit about energy in general. That we are, right? So many of us, we grow up and we learn about paying attention to what is physical, and we pay attention to our physical body and to everything that is solid in front of us, the table, the computer, the books. But not many of us really learned or got to really pay attention to the energy that we are. But nowadays, it is very much a reality that we have even scientific proofs how we are an energy field that is an energy field that extends beyond our physical body. Mm-hmm. That is part of us, right? So our energy is not just outside of us, it's part of us. So our body is just the most dense and solid form of this energy. So the energy, when it's more dense or solid, because it's vibrating, is lower. And then as we go to higher dimensions or levels of energy of consciousness, this energy vibrates more subtle and more subtle and more subtle. And that's why a lot of us, if we were trained to just look into the physical, we don't pay attention. We don't really, it can be more challenging for certain people to tap into the energy, but we all have those glimpses. For example, there are people that we meet that we just feel great with them, that we just feel like we know them forever, or we can stay a lifetime close to them and we feel so good. And other people that for some reason we just don't feel comfortable near them. We just feel like we just want to get away, or we just don't feel tense. And the same thing with environments and places, right? There are places that we go that just feel so peaceful, that we just feel like I can lay here and stay here forever. And there are other places that we go and we don't really like it. It just we just feel weird. Mm-hmm. And another example for, like, imagine you just went to visit, a friend, family member, and then you walk into that place and you just feel weird. You don't know what happened, but you just feel weird. You can sense, for example, that maybe they were arguing there before. You just feel the energy is weird. Even if they're not talking about it, they're pretending it's all okay. But we just feel like something is weird. And a lot of us have many experiences about energy, but and now we have, for example, microwaves and all these magical devices as well that measure brain waves, that ultrasounds. And so energy is real. We know that even how we're talking now through the internet, mm-hmm. through radio. So the best example I like to explain about energy is, for example, all the radios, they have the radio towers, and each radio tower is emitting a frequency. So they're emitting their frequency 24 hours a day. Mm-hmm. But now if I want to listen to this specific radio, I got to tune in my radio to that frequency, 88.1. Now I hear the music that they're broadcasting. If I want to listen to this other radio, I got to turn my own radio to the 99.7, and now I'm listening to their songs. But then we are connecting through these bands frequencies. And that's what's energy, right? So there is always the exchange and interaction when we are with anyone in any place we go. We are always in this exchange. So and then I'm going to connect it all and also give some breaks, so I'm not just talking by myself and let you join in too. But, cool. But yeah, so with conscious dating and sacred sexuality and sexual energy exchange, so in this culture, most of the people, they're very much in the physical, in what we call the third dimension. So we have this culture nowadays that people almost feel like the sexual freedom, but I see it as the opposite. Like I see it more as sexual slavery, because people are very much enslaved by their sexual instincts. They don't realize that their sexual instincts are fully controlling them, dominating their actions, their thoughts, and so most people are just controlled by their sexual instincts, and how there is this whole society, and mental programming that is over-sexualizing people and normalizing promiscuity and normalizing perversion, sexual perversion. And we see that in music videos, we see that in movies, we see that in the music. There are a lot of music that I cannot listen to, and so then imagine we are since we were childs, we are listening to this, we're watching these TV channels and music videos and artists behaving in certain ways. And that becomes a normal thing. every movie nowadays, right? Almost any movie nowadays, like people meet, if they like each other, the next scene, they're in bed, they're in someone's apartment having sex. There is no more the dating, let's talk, let's get to know each other. It's just have sex. And there is all this culture as well where people just are like having tons of partners at once, especially in some male cultures like hip hop. And if they have 20, 40 females and now they're the king and all of that. But this is just this is part of this culture. There are different cultures or religions or societies that they go very different ways about sexuality, right? And there are many even religions, for example, cultures that they do the opposite. They repress. And it's bad and it's wrong and you cannot do it and it's a sin and people are very repressed. So that's the two ends of a spectrum that we see. And I feel like in most of society, we haven't found the middle term. And then there is pornography that is just showing sexuality that has no love, that has no connection, that is just animalistic, many times violent sex. And that's how most of the teenagers nowadays are learning, because when my father was a teenager, he didn't learn with pornography. He learned through experience, my mother. But now in our generation and the younger, they learn about sex through watching pornography. And that's so dangerous for their perception about sex. You know, so then when we understand about this energy that we are, when we are learning more and opening our third eye or opening our perceptions more to what is beyond the physical and becoming more sensitive to energies. A lot of us are sensitive. That's why people get overwhelmed. They just don't know that. Like people are very sensitive. So many times they just numb themselves with substances because they're overwhelmed by these energies and they don't understand, you know. And that's when we talk about sexual energy exchange. And I don't know if you want to like have anything to share or something, or if I just keep going.
No. Well, I want you to keep going, especially in relation to conscious dating. I know we're going to get to sexual energy exchange for sure. Yeah. That is a big topic. But before we get into the sex, let's not do what they do in movies. Before we get to the sex, let us talk.
Exactly.
And so, what are the suggestions that you normally give the people that you work with or your friends and families in terms of when meeting a potential partner? What are there practical steps? Are there ways that you yourself perhaps go into your private life with? Do you have rules that you abide by? You know what I mean? Like, what is your conscious dating practicalities, so to speak?
Yeah, for sure. You know, what I like to share, when I say males and females, I'm talking about the energy, not necessarily like people can be, right? You can have a male body but be attracted to males, or have a female body and be attracted to females. So I'm not talking about our sexual preferences. I'm talking about the main energy that we identify with, you know. So usually the person that has more of the masculine energy, usually that's the one that will pursue, right? The female energy will usually maybe give some hints, and the female energy is mostly the receiver, and then we're going to say yes or no. And the male usually is going to go for it, right? So for the female, for all of us, I always say to become aware of our intentions, for all of us, before going into any trying or saying yes or pursuing. Become aware of our intentions. So where are you at in your life? Are you wanting to be in a relationship? Are you open, or are you looking to be in a relationship, in a committed relationship? Some people are. Some people, what they really want is some people, they go on dates because they want to find that partner that they want to grow with, build a life with, a relationship with. So that's where some people are. But some other people, they may be like, no, I don't want a relationship. I'm not ready for a relationship. I may want to just someone to have fun with, have some good time with, but I don't want a relationship right now. I know that already, you know. Some people, they may want a relationship, but they may want an open relationship where they are with this person, but with many others, and that's okay for them. So we have to be very clear about our intentions, regardless if you are pursuing or if you are just accepting or going with it. We have to be clear about where you are with each other. because that will save a lot of pain, a lot of headache, and a lot of karma. When I say karma is the law of action and reaction, what we give and what we get. You know, is an energy of action and reaction. It's not a punishment to anyone. But for example, I see a lot of these dynamics where, for example, a woman wants a relationship, she wants to grow with the man, and then the man, he doesn't want you, but he found, you know, she's hot, she's sexy, he want to try to see if they can, you know, have sex sometimes, have fun. But then, you know, many times the man, the male, if that's, that can be the opposite too, but that's what I usually, you know, more frequent.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Sometimes the woman is already saying, oh, I really want a relationship. And the man is saying, oh, I'm not ready, or I don't want it, or I'm not ready right now. So what I see a lot is, like in this case, many times the woman she already opened her heart and her boundaries to that person. She already getting emotionally connected. So instead of her standing in her grounds and be in her boundaries and be like, well, you're not ready and we're not in alignment. So go do you, be happy. If you one day it aligns, then good. But usually the woman, you know, she may try to see if she can change his mind, if he can start liking her so much that he would change his mind. Mm-hmm. And so that she's creating karma for herself and creating pain and headache. And the man on the other side is doing the same, because he already knows the woman's intention, but he keeps, I call it marinating. You know, when you're marinating a mm-hmm. food and you just leave it marinating and marinating. So he's taking advantage of her weakness to stand in her boundaries, because then he can go and have some fun and have sex and enjoy, but he knows he's not committing to her. He knows that's not what she wants, but he's still taking advantage of her weakness, you know? And then that way they're creating karma for each other. And the same way in open relationships, you know, if someone that wants an open relationship, they can be, you know, they can be open in the beginning. It's like, oh, I want to be with you, but I want to be open to be with other people. Yeah. So we have to be honest, because the other person may be, no, this is not for me. I don't want this. But most people, they're afraid to be honest, especially like, you know, for example, females, many times they're afraid to be honest about what they really want, because they're scared to lose the person or to push the person away. Mm-hmm. But I would say if we push someone away, it's because they're not the one that's meant for us anyways. So what I say is, before we get too involved, so like if you're having text messages, phone calls, talk about those things before, talk about your intentions, ask the person where they're at, even before you go on a date. And if you get to go on a date or two, or how many dates you need to fill it out, be honest, you know, because most of the times people just go with the energy and the flow and they start kissing. Mm-hmm. Next thing, they're in bed. And even if you're not in bed yet, even if you start kissing, that's already, you know, you are connecting, you're opening your hearts. And then it will be the more connection you create with that person, the harder it is to walk away. So the less we open up in that level, like let's keep our boundaries, let's be open in a sense, like open to get to know each other, but let's be honest and upfront in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And that's conscious dating. So we are not creating karma for each other. We're not creating headaches and creating these unhealthy energy cords. And mm-hmm. especially having sex. So many women, they go and have sex. And I've done that many times without being ready, and then start being with someone for a few months. And then, but my intention is here and the person's intention is there. And it would take a few months, and then a lot of afterwards headache and heartache, you know, because mm-hmm. I was getting so involved, and the person was just like, wait, I call you, I go out with you, we see each other every week, but I don't want to be with you. And I'm like, so why are you calling me and seeing me every week if you don't want to be with me? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, that's conscious dating.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. The follow-up question after this, because I totally appreciate what you're saying, and I loved how you framed it as well. Now, in my experience and that of people that I know, is not only one, I would say, at times it's difficult to know what you want, because not all of us are actually quite clear about our own wishes for ourselves. So that makes things a bit difficult to start with. And two, what you mentioned about female pretending to want certain things in order not to push the potential partners away is also a pattern that I realized a lot of men do, simply because if you tell someone that you're attracted to that you are attracted to them, yet you don't want anything serious, you may simply put yourself in a position where that person doesn't even want to give you the time of the day. So there is a game to be played there. So my follow-up question is, what about if and when, because I know this happens very often, you find yourself at a place where the truth of the matter is you are attracted to someone, but you yet don't know exactly what you are looking for, nor what exactly you want from that person. Would you suggest that person holds up in terms of sexual exchanges? Or would you say, well, in that case, perhaps you can delve into a short dating experience with that person in order to assess how compatible you are as a couple? You know what I mean? Because obviously it's a bit more complex than, I believe, than just to say, know what you want and this is the only thing that you're going to go for. I think life is a bit more faceted than that.
Yeah, great points, because that's how we talk, because that's where a lot of people ask themselves, right? And so that's where I choose two pieces for this answer. But the first thing, that's what I say, that's where we got to be clear about our intentions individually. It's not about our intentions with that person, because that will come afterwards. First, we gotta, and that's for many things in life, and I do this exercise with my clients in, for example, life purpose, and really be clear about our intentions. Yeah. And these intentions go for many things in life, because when we are clear about our intentions, then we can manifest that. But most of us just go through life like living a day after day after day, having no clue where we're going. So that goes for our purpose, our work, what we're doing on earth, how if, and that goes as well for being clear. Most of us know that I'm open to, for example, I'm open to have a relationship. I'm not looking for it or rushing, but I'm open if it shows up. Some people, they're like, well, I don't want it. And then it can happen that sometimes we think we don't want it, and then someone comes along and we're like, wait, it's going really well. Yeah. So ideally, we would, with ourselves alone, be clear about our intentions and what we feel is right for us, so that would be an ideal. And that's why this is part of the personal development piece. And also there is so much about our own work as individuals, right? Because if someone is scared to say what they want, or if the guy is also scared of saying what they want because of this or that, that shows a lot of where they are. Because if the guy is like not wanting to tell the woman their intentions because he knows that maybe if he says that, she's going to run away, that means that this guy is in a player mentality, because he just want to be the nice guy. Because many guys do that, be pursuing, being all the, charm prince until they get the woman to bed. And then once they get them to bed a couple times or so, then they don't care, and it's the next one. So if that's where they're at, and that's not judging, that's what they need, eventually they may, they're going to create some karma for themselves. And it's just the energy where they're running their consciousness. So that's the first thing, and the same thing for the woman. I had to learn that something as well about my boundaries. But then about dating, right? Because then we get to know someone, and then see, even if I say I want to be in a relationship, I'm open to be in a relationship, we still have to get to know the person and see if it's going to match the energy. So in that case, I would say, that's what I say, to wait to have sex for sure. And I had to learn it the hard way. And so many women, I'm sure they're learning that. I had to learn the hard way to wait to have sex. Before, even the time I was waiting, it was not enough time, because before, I was thinking, as long as I wait a few days, and then it will be fine. That is not a time. That is not a question of waiting 2 months or 4 months or a year or 1 date. It's not a question of time. It's a question of, you only have sex, and you only open your sacred temple and your energy to someone when you know that you're both in alignment. So if that takes 2 days or 6 months, then it is what it is. You're only going to open up to sex when you know you are in alignment. It happened to me that I dated for 6 months, like for over 4 months. Was not didn't get to get 6 months, but before having sex. And I'm sharing my experience because that's how also other people can learn. I waited 4 months. We were going on dates. It was beautiful. But I was still afraid of really setting my boundaries. And so eventually, after 4 months of dating, we had sex. And it was a period of a couple weeks that we had sex a few times. And that's when I started talking, wait, but now we're having sex. Are you also having sex with other people? Are you open? And then the guy was like, well, I'm not ready to commit to only one woman. So it took us 4 months. And it's like, if I had already asked those questions before and I was already, so that's not about the time, but I would say wait until you have sex, because once you open up to sex, it's a whole other level of things that will happen, and people, and it's beautiful as well to get to know someone and creates love connections that are not related to sex. So you start to really getting to love each other, to enjoy time with each other, knowing what you enjoy, become good friends before sex. And many times we jump ahead, we start having sex, and then after we don't have many things in common other than the sex, So I would say just take it slow.
Take it slow. Take it slow.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I am smiling out inside because I am at a stage now in my life where I'm in my 40s and my dating feels like it's behind me, so to speak, and where things were different back in the day also. But I'm smiling because I'll admit to you that I've never waited a month, if not weeks, before sleeping with someone I was attracted to. It's never been part of my I would say my makeup or my ways about it. Having said that, I always pride myself to be a decent judge of character. And also, this is the point I really want to make, and then we can move on from conscious dating. But I love the fact that I can share something with you, and you'll tell me what your thoughts are. Is that I've experienced in the past. I tend to be very forward and tend to be very honest as well. And I am going to share this with you because I've had a very similar conversation with Matthias Omotola on the podcast, also mentioned that. And a few people came back to me, a few men came back to me after saying, yeah, it's great what the brother is saying about, being as clear in your intentions as you possibly can when you start seeing someone at the beginning of your dating. But the woman that I see, when I tell them the truth, it's like it goes in one ear and goes out the other. Now, I want to run that by you because it happened to me many times where I would say, I am not looking for anything. I already have 3 children. I don't want any more children. I am not going to do this and I'm not going to do that. And trust me, when I tell you something, I tend to mean it. Just goes, for those of you listening, I'm just rubbing my hand above my head just because it goes over people's head, because as you said, I think rightly, once emotions get involved and once sensations and strong ideas and expectations start to come up, a few of those truths simply don't make it through. So how does one be conscious, honest, direct, and yet is able, and bear in mind, I know you're in LA, I live in the UK, slightly different cultures. How does one, whether it's a man talking to a woman or a man to a man or a woman talking to a man, there is such a thing as congruence. How does one deal with dealing with a potential partner who actually wants truth but can't really deal with it? I think that's a real problem.
Yeah, and I feel like in this case is both people's responsibility, right? So it's like even how I mentioned first, like you said, sometimes you may meet someone and you may both be on the same page and sex can happen really fast, and that can be a long-term, beautiful relationship. So it's really not about, it's not a book, right? Wait 2 months, wait 6 months. Because I know people that had sex really quick, but they were both on the same page, and it worked out. But in this case, right, that's when I say, because it shows like where we're all having our weaknesses, and I include myself in it because I had to learn a lot, and I feel like I learned a lot. And to be here today with a man with very strong boundaries and being okay with being single and not having sex for a while, like, I learned this because eventually we get tired of the same lessons. So, for example, in this case, if you tell a woman, I don't want a relationship, or I don't want to get married, or not looking for none of these. And then, but then the woman, she's like, okay, but she's still with you. But then in her actions, and then eventually in the way she says, or they end up having arguments where she's showing that she's wanting more.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's up to both of you, right? Like, for example, you as a man in your integrity, it would be like, well, it's not working. It's not working because I can see that you are having expectations and intentions that I'm not ready to give you. And as I honor you and your time and your space and your soul, I'm going to remove myself because I know I'm not in alignment with you. Most men, they won't do that because she wants to have sex a few times a week, to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
And most women, it's the same, most women, many times I got in relationships because I was lonely. I was tired of being alone, and I work with a lot of men too, and they're like, well, I want to have sex eventually, and they start going on dating apps or whatever. And we have to learn to be okay to be alone. And every time I got into problematic relationships is because I was alone for a while, and especially when we are in this path of really spiritual alignment, spiritual growth, personal development, we are going to notice that most people are not at that place. True. Most people are not. So we got to walk our path on our own many times and know that our connection, we are always with God source, with our higher self, whatever we want to call, they're with us. But many times on this planet Earth, we got to walk alone, for a while until we start meeting people that align, even in friendships. So many times I was just alone for a while, and then someone would show up and they had time and attention, they were giving me time and attention. And then eventually I would start, just being with them, knowing that it's not really good for me. And then when I see getting a whole relationship that is problematic, and I got tired of not honoring myself. Mm-hmm. I got tired of abandoning myself. I got tired of, just abandoning myself pretty much.
Yeah.
And then I decided to, and it's the same for men, right? Because men also feels, and they also feel it, you always have, even if you were like not wanting to be in a relationship or something, we always create, and we get tired of the same lessons over and over. And even we don't like hurting people, right? Because that can be also for a woman that she doesn't want anything and the guy is all in love. I've seen that too. Yeah. So we get tired of hurting people. We get tired of the same dynamics. And I tell you, there are women that don't want a relationship. There are women that want an open relationship. Mm-hmm. We find those too.
I hear you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Can we go into sexual energy exchange? And now that we've talked about dating, perhaps now let's imagine. I was going to say you and I, but we don't know each other. We've just started dating, and we are now just getting physical with each other. And if you don't mind this imagery, I read in one of your courses and PDFs, because I really like what you wrote and a few steps that you're giving people. So, by the way, people listening, I do invite you to check out Mayara's website and the various PDFs that she gives out for free with quite a few good points as to what to think about when you get into new relationships. But you wrote something along the lines of, when a person has sex with a variety of people, they are absorbing and transferring a lot of energy and information between many people, and their auras can get muddled and muddied by past traumas. So how do we go about protecting both ourselves but also each other from our past?
Yeah, and this is, is something that, because collectively we are evolving collectively. So that's we say ascension, and so there are a lot of information. A lot of this information is coming now. It's coming online, I would say, for more people. This information is not that it's new. It's ancient, but before there was just very few people and few groups that were more aware of energy and all of these kind of things, the third eye, all of this. So now more people are starting to learn about it, and we have so much to learn. I keep learning every day, like literally every day I'm learning, and there is so much that we are learning about energy. And so, for example, most of us know that there are negative energies and negative people that have negative intentions. That is also like negative, I would say, entities like that are negative, that are like things that we need to protect ourselves. And protecting ourselves is not from a place of fear. It's from a place of empowerment, of sovereignty. Like, I do not consent to any of this, to anything that doesn't belong to me to affect me. If we walk around all open without our shields, our energy shields, we are just like being bombarded with negative frequencies, regardless if you think it's, from a person or from a non-physical being, or whatever you want to believe or think. Mm-hmm. But we know that there is, there are a lot of negative energies and low vibration. So we need to first understand that, and always set intentions to have energy shields around us, where we don't allow anything that doesn't belong to us or that is not for our highest good to affect us. That's the first thing. But then when we have sex with someone, we are fully opening our boundaries. We're fully opening our energy fields and our body to that person. We are exchanging energy on a very deep level. And in this physical reality here, we only exchange energy in this way. It's like if we give birth to someone, or if we do an organ transplant, if we give one of our organs to someone, or if we give our blood to someone. Other than that, it's sex. We're exchanging energy in a very deep way. So even with friends, we exchange energy. With people that we're talking, we're exchanging energy. Like I said, if you go to a place, you feel the energy, and if you don't have your shields, and if that place has heavy energy, you're gonna feel drains. That is why many people say, I'm an empath. I cannot be around people too much, because they're picking up all their energy. So everyone is an empath. We can feel energy, but we need our boundaries, so we're not picking up the energies that we don't want. So we know, for example, that with friends, some friends or family members drain us, right? They drain us, and we call energy vampires. After we talk to them, after we see them, we're drained. So that's an energy exchange. But when we have sex, we are consenting, we're opening our body, and we are exchanging this energy on a very deep level. And this is happening regardless. We cannot, when you have sex, we are consenting to exchange energy with that person. There is no condom that is going to stop that. It's on a deeper level than just the physical. So if you choose to have sex with someone, you got to know that you are consenting to receive that person's energy, and you are giving your energy to them as well. There is an exchange. So this is happening regardless. Now we have our past, right? And we have all the people that we had sex with without knowing that this was happening. The sexual energy exchange. We all had sex. Most of us had sex with people that had relationships that we felt afterwards that maybe were toxic or were hard, and people that had toxic lifestyles, So, and when I say exchanging energy, for example, I have my own, that can be good energy too, for sure. We exchange good energy. But for example, me as I am, right? I have my own experiences. I have my traumas. I have my ex-partners. So I'm, as a conscious person that I am, I'm healing my traumas. I'm releasing any negative belief system that I had. And I've done my sexual cleanses and my cords removals from my ex-partners. But most people haven't. Most people, and I have a very clean lifestyle, as far as what I eat, substances, like all of this. Like, so for example, if I go and I have sex with a man that he drinks a lot, he does all kinds of drugs and smokes, and he has all these traumas that he haven't healed, and he never cleared his sexual energy, and he's having sex with several women or men or whoever he's having sex with, I'm receiving all the toxic energy into my body, So we have to be very aware of that. This is happening. And with females, and this happens both ways, but females, we are naturally the receptive energy. So we can, find scientifically, there were proofs how you find the DNA particles of the males inside of our womb.
Yeah.
Especially if you didn't wear condom. But so the condom may stop the DNA and the fluids, but you still have the energy exchange that we still, so, and that goes both ways. So that's when we have to be very aware that this is happening. And that's why I say the open relationship or having sex with several people, we have to be very aware, because if I choose to, for example, be with you and you are, and we are in an open relationship, I'm not only receiving your energy, but I'm also receiving the energy of everybody else that you are having sex with, all the energy that you are bringing to me. So who are these people that you're having sex with? How is their lifestyle? And that is even more like sex entities. I don't know how open your people are or something, so I don't know how much, but that is, there's negative entities that are transmitted, that it can be is a bigger issue even than sexual, than diseases. Because so we can cleanse that for sure. We can cleanse all of that, but also we have to be very aware, and because into how we proceed afterwards. Because if we cleanse but then we keep, like, if, for example, if I do a lipo and I keep overeating, and I do another lipo and I keep overeating, it's not going to really work. So we can cleanse all of that. And not other than the cleansing, there's, for example, sexual energy exchanging happens in all kinds of sex encounters. Also, there is energy cords. So for the people that are more like, that we had sex more often, more times, or people that were in a relationship, or even people that were really close to us, that we really loved, even without having sex, we create energy cords. Like someone that you really loved, or that you really were really connected to, we create energy cords. And some of these cords are healthy and we want to keep them, but it's a lot of these past relationships, we want to remove those cords or cut those cords and release it, because it's a way that we stay connected to that person. And especially, for example, if that person doesn't want to move, for example, if they still want to be with us or find us, and the cord is still there, it's a way that they're pulling us. It's still. So it's very important to know that there is just the energy exchange. If you had a one-night stand, that was already an energy exchange. But the more you have sex, the more you stay, the more the person is in your life, in your mind, in your hearts, then the stronger is those cords that we create to the person.
I hear you. Thank you. So the imprinting of ex-partners' energies, as you mentioned, is something that can be removed. What are daily practices that people can do? I mean, you mentioned diet and obviously taking care of yourself, and I'm sure there are things such as meditation and yoga practices and all of that to just ground you and make you self-aware. But what other practices are actually useful in order to remove ex-partner's energy from a sexual point of view?
Yeah, and so I have for example, I have a video, one of the first videos I posted on my YouTube, that is a guided sexual energy cleanse. And so it's how to cleanse your sexual pasts. And I have on my YouTube channel, Mayara Healing Arts. So I have a guided. I also have, and that's for general sexual energy cleanse. And I also have guided meditation to remove those cords. That is also available on my websites. And I also have master classes and courses. I will go deeper into all of these, but pretty much a lot of these things, they're easier than we may think. But the thing is, we need to put our intention and believe it. So, for example, with the sexual energy cleanse, what a lot of people don't like to hear about is that we really have to sit and take time and write down a list of everyone that we remember, because I know a lot of us started a while and we don't remember a lot of people we had sex with. So we get to write down from the beginning, all the people that we remember, we write down their names. And then after we write down their names, and then we're going to also write down like probably people that we don't remember their names, but we remember that nights in a bar, in the bathroom. And then there were the people that we don't remember even that. And then we can call the higher self of everyone that we had sexual exchange with that we don't remember. And that goes as well if it was without consent. Some people ask as well. So we gotta, because the thing is, we gotta call their higher selves, and we call their higher selves, and then there is a process when I guide, where we are setting the intention. Is like when we end and contracts, we just set that intention. I'm giving back to you all the energy that I kept from you. I'm taking back all my energy. And we can call the spiritual assistance for that. Is actually really good, because there are some heavy energies that we're not aware that we're carrying. So you can call spiritual assistance from whatever you feel connected. Usually people that connect with archangels. Archangel Michael is a really good one, but some people don't believe or don't connect. It can be Buddha, Krishna, Yeshua, Jesus, Mother Earth, but to help us, because there are some heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So then we setting in statements that we are giving it back, their energy. We're taking back our energy. We are setting them free, from any, and we let them go with their higher selves. So that's a general sexual energy cleanse. And then we, with our intention and our minds, and I guide all of that, we visualize as well, like energy, any energy that was inside of especially our pelvis, where we can visualize it like sliding down to the earth, and we give to our higher self, or coming out. We can use our hands, and then we gotta feel that space with a lot of light energy afterwards, And then when it's a cord removal, I have a guided meditation too, but then we have to specifically bring that person's energy, that toxic ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend. We bring that person's higher self and energy, and we get a tuning and feel wherever we feel a chords. Oftentimes there is chords in the heart or in the second chakra by the pelvis. And then we get remove those cords from the roots or cut those cords, and because they're very real, and people that are more aware, more sensitive, we can feel them more easier than others. So other people, they may have a hard time if they're not used to that, but then eventually, as we do meditations and as we cleanse our body, we can become more aware. And you can even just with your intuition, with your intuition or with your senses, you can just feel, it's like, okay, there is something blocked here. And then we remove, So we do this with all the other partners, but the cord removal is just with the ones that were more, meaningful in our lives. And also, just so people know, it is a cycle of about 7 years, for those cords to clear. Just if we don't do it on our own, it takes about 7 years, it's like a renewal. So, but if we didn't learn the lessons, and then they keep,
Wow. Thank you for that. Let us move into the subject of sexual energy transmutation and the various tools that you found very, very useful in transmuting sexual energy into a force that is going to help us manifest things not only in our sex life but also in our professional, intimate life, with absolutely everything else that we want to achieve. So I'm a fan of the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and there's a very, very big chapter on this. So I'm very curious as to what is your take on it, and how can we possibly go about really walking towards manifestation through sexual energy transmutation?
So sexual energy is the most powerful energy that we have for creation, right? For creativity and creation. That's why that's the energy that creates another life. But that's the energy that we use to create, right? So anytime if you are a musician, or if you are a painter, if you are an artist, that's the energy that we're using. But that's for any one of us, even if you're not an artist. We are the artists of our own life, right? So if you're I'm going to create a business, or I want to, buy a house, or whatever we want to create, that's the sexual energy, because it comes from the depths of our being. It comes from the voids of nothingness, right? Of nothing. And then we give birth to that something, that it is a business, a painting, a music. It comes from the voids, or a baby, and then we give birth to it. So that's the sexual energy that we have. That's what we use to create. And so in society, how I was saying, how we learned to just overuse and abuse our sexual energy through just being controlled by sexual instincts. And many people think, oh, this is just our human instincts. Many people say, right, this is natural, it's human instincts. I want to go and have sex. But what most people don't realize is that we're more than humans. We are also a soul, a spirit, a divine being. There is a lot of us that can come online if you realize that we're not just humans, we're not just primitive animals. And even the animals, right? The animals are very advanced as well, many animals, because they're even more connected to their own nature. Mm-hmm. So every animal, they have different ways that they go about sexuality, right? Some animals, they have many partners or one partner for life, or they mate in seasons. So animals are in tune with their own nature. So in the society, people just learn to abuse and overuse the sexual energy. Try to have sex with anybody, try to just be going on dates, and pornography or masturbation all the time. So all the sexual energy is just being leaked and wasted. You know, so many people just like masturbate all the time, if not every day, you know. So that's what a lot of people are at. Now, sexual energy transmutation is really understanding that the power of this energy, that this energy is our fuel. This is the fuel that will move us forward in life. Mm-hmm. So we learn to master our sexual instincts instead of being controlled by it. And then we learn to direct it to the purpose that we want in life. So a big step in sexual energy transmutation, the first step is to master the sexual instincts. So that's where people go through times of celibacy, of not having sex and not masturbating for a while. Usually we gotta get to 21 days at least, because 21 days is the time that the brain takes to create new neural pathways. Mm-hmm. So when you do something for 21 days, it'll be easier for you. And then you gotta do it over and over and over. So you just learn to have mastery, because if you've never done a 21-day challenge and you never stay 21 days without masturbating or having sex. So most people haven't, right? We learn how to masturbate when we're teenagers, and then we're always masturbating or having sex, and usually we don't get to 21 days without masturbating or having sex. So then many people don't realize how challenging it can be the first time, you know, the first few times. Mm-hmm. And that's the beginning of you learning to master yourself. Not that you can never masturbate, that's not what I mean, but you're going to learn to really choose consciously when and how you want to use the energy. And then what you do is like you're using all this focus into your purpose, into your intentions, into your goals, and, you know, into your business, into your, what do you want to create in your life? And then you, instead of just leaking this energy just through going and looking for sexual gratification, or so you can channel this energy. And it's pretty much the sexual energy starts from the second chakra, right? Starts in the second chakra that is around our sacrum, our pelvis, and also some of the root chakra. So for many people, it builds up the sexual energy, and then we will masturbate or, you know, have sex, and then we explode into an orgasm, and that's it. But we can channel this energy up our spine. And when we channel this energy up, that's the sexual transmutation. If we are single and are doing this on our own, now this energy starts stimulating our hearts, our throats, our third eye and crown, and it starts stimulating these other areas, you know, for more creativity, for more spiritual guidance or inner guidance, and speak our voice, speak our truth, and all the kind of stuff that we're stimulating with this energy. Imagine if this energy comes up and it starts stimulating all of this, you know. So it's really about gaining the mastery. And then from that point where eventually, because first we need a lot of discipline and willpower, and can be really challenging, especially for males when they're used to watch porn and masturbate a lot. But then once you gain that mastery, even females too, right? And then it becomes natural that you just not feel like you need to always have sex or masturbate, or you don't feel like, and you can go, you don't have to be counting 21 days anymore. It's just going to be natural when you feel like, oh, okay, today I want to gift myself with this orgasm, you know, and becomes that. And then if you have a partner, then you can go into the sacred sexuality. Yeah.
May I ask you a personal question? What's the longest period of practice that you've undertaken in relation to either you call it celibacy or abstinence? of either sexual interactions or even orgasm? And what have you learned from that?
So with masturbation, I haven't counted like the maximum, but I would say with women, we do have our cycle, like for example, when we are in our ovulation, that's usually when we feel more sexual. So now I'm in a time that I follow my flow. And if I feel like it's usually my ovulation, I may choose to have an orgasm, masturbate in my ovulation. So it's pretty much, it would be, about once a month, right? But I've probably been longer than that with masturbation. I just never really counted.
I see.
But having sex was a while, definitely a while. I remember getting to 9 months and then having sex like once, and then going to another 9 months. And I'm still in the celibacy phase. And even, so about having sex now, I can just go until I find someone that is really in alignment,
Yeah. I had this conversation with a friend of mine who shared with me that she, a few years ago, went for 2.5 years without being sexual with anyone. And it blew my mind because the longest period of time that I went without sex since I became sexually active, age 16 or 17, is 5 weeks. So 2.5 years or even 9 months sounds like a lot to me. And I'm talking not just having sex with someone, but also in terms of masturbation. I remember those 5 weeks because I was in New York doing one of my yoga teacher training course, and I decided not to masturbate, and I wasn't having sex with anyone. But what happened is I was on a train within 4.5 weeks, and I actually had such a hard on traveling up north to upstate New York, and I eventually ejaculated on myself on the train without me touching myself. It just had to come out. So the energy buildup was so strong that this happened. So I can only imagine if I was to go for 9 months or even 2.5 years, something that I've never even imagined before, nor even thought about, because I think I've always been very, very sexual. But thank you for sharing. I appreciate
with the masturbation, because that's the thing, right? Like with me, I've been pretty much in the celibacy for a while, but that was, like this person I was saying, dated for 4 months, had sex a couple weeks. But before that, I was celibate for 9 months before him, and then had sex for 2 weeks, and then went celibate again for 9 months, and then he showed up again, had sex once. And then again, celibate again. But then with masturbation, I just want to get to them, especially for males and females, there is a build-up. And that's when I say it's not that we cannot masturbate at all. And I learned that masturbation can be a very healthy and beautiful practice when we are single. But the thing is how we're going to masturbate, how often, what's the intention and motivation and energy that is driving us? Is it loneliness? Is it lust? Is it because many, like, are you watching pornography? That can be a very just lustful energy. What are we connecting with? And for example, I go, usually, at least 3 weeks without masturbating, but then eventually I just feel like, oh, it's time. There is a build up. And instead of me going and finding someone and getting into a relationship because I'm lonely or single or whatever, I prefer to tap into the energy. But that's when we learn, but with love and self-appreciation, without pornography, without lust, for self-love. And then we can use the energy to manifest as well. As far as if I go into masturbation because I'm bored, before it was like that. I'm not doing anything. I masturbate, or I'm lonely, masturbate, or I'm, so we can go into, it's very different than choosing consciously and going from that place of self-love and consciously choosing, and then knowing what we are thinking about, because the energy of creation and with the orgasm, we amplify that. So with the amplification, we are like, what we are thinking about and what we are feeling is amplified. And that's when we can use that sexual orgasm to manifest. So you can be manifesting a loving relationship, or you can be manifesting a spiritual growth in your life. through what you think when you masturbate and when you orgasm, So that's a very different place where most people are not at the level. And that's when I say, if you're single as a male too, and whenever you feel the too much buildup, and I don't even suggest males go for much more than 3 weeks. Usually 3 to 6 weeks is a time that the male will need one ejaculation, at least 3 to 6 weeks. But then it's like you do one ejaculation, you clean your pipes, and there we go. Because if you get to that too much buildup, it's because you may not be aware and transmuting your sexual energy properly through exercising, through meditating, through moving the energy. I have as well a guided meditation that is to channel the sexual energy up the spine. Because if you're just building up, you're going to explode, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me in a public space. Very interesting. I know you're running short on time, but I really want you to talk to us about this 21-day course on manifestation that you have, because I think it will link to what we just talked about beautifully. So what is it that you offer people to us to in terms of coaching and assist for 21 days? And when is it starting?
So my 21-day challenge, we will start on June 28th. And I have an early bird registration until June 13th. And in this challenge, I created it because I do have a Sacred Sexuality 101 online course that goes in depth into personal healing and sacred sexuality. It goes in depth into a lot. And I wanted to create something that is like, because it's a big commitment to the course. So I wanted to create something that is like, help people to put in practice all these teachings and to really feel, how it is when you really put in practice. Because a lot of people, they watch my videos, they read books, but they don't really put in practice and stay consistent and committed long enough. So in this challenge, I'm combining, and I'm saying these are practices for us for our energy, that's why I call 21-day manifestation challenge. So I combine sexual energy transmutation, some of the sacred sexuality teachings. I combine as well meditation and diets. That is a detox that we do. And I give options for people, right, with different needs, different schedules for the detox, because we all have different kinds of bodies. But pretty much helping people to really put in practice how it is, and also the mindsets, how it is when you really focus on your energy, on being balanced physically, emotionally, mentally, and how it is when you focus on your purpose, on your life purpose. So that's the manifestation challenge, what we want to manifest. My camera went out for some reason.
Okay, I can still hear you.
But that's what I guide people on, focusing on all of that, and how they can really put in practice to feel the benefits, really feel it. Because once you feel it, that's when you are. Knowing how it improves
that sounds very interesting, and I'm really glad you're offering this, because I think it's true. There's a lot of information out there, but the consistency required for any type of practice to actually bear fruits is something else. And to have a coach, to have someone to assist and to guide is a great thing. And 21 days sounds very, very good. Listen, Mayara, I'm so very grateful for your time, and I know you've got to be places. So whilst we didn't talk about the different types of orgasms, I will link the couple of videos where you talk about those things in the show notes for anyone listening now.
If you like, I can just maybe like give a little, just
can you give us a tease?
Hints.
All right,
a little tease.
With. So let us go briefly into the different types of orgasms then, because now we talked about retentions, we talked about the manifestations in terms of holding on and controlling and working our way towards mastery by abstinence. What now?
And so that's when, we gain the mastery, right? To be able to be single, be able to not need to find people and to go on dating apps and to be on the energy or pornography. So we learn that mastery, and we learn how to use this energy for our best. So then that's the part of the conscious dating. When we find someone that is in alignment, and then now we can go deeper into the sacred sexuality. But it takes all this work before for us to actually be this personal work, for us to actually find someone, manifest someone in our life that we can go deeper into the sacred sexuality. So these are not things that we do much on our own, right? Because sex, usually we do have sex with somebody else. So now when we have, because then I say, usually that's also not going to be in one night stands, because it has to be someone that you practice, you know, that you have some consistency and you have that level of connection. And then from that place, you can have different orgasms where it can be full body orgasms. It can be what I call spiritual orgasms. So where the orgasms, they can be, instead of just be the release, that we just release our energy in 5 seconds and it's gone. And now, especially, you know, sometimes may even feel tired, especially if males ejaculate, they may feel tired. Now there are different orgasms that can be more, I call it full body orgasms, where the orgasm can stay and last for a long while. And it can activate all those chakras. So the same process of the sexual energy transmutation, where this energy comes up, is stimulating the higher centers, that we can do that through orgasming as well. And stimulating our pineal glands, stimulating our crown, opening all of our chakras. So it can be a spiritual experience and an enlightening experience where we can have even like downloads for our life. And it's just like taking us to another level. So the orgasm that we feel like is pretty good, and usually we don't want to let go of, is the 5-second peak orgasm, ejaculation. But then when we know that this can be amplified like times 10 or times 100, that's where people really can have a little more motivation, you know, because for males, they're so used to ejaculate. So, but then when they learn that they can orgasm without ejaculating, but at first they need to learn how to control and master their ejaculation. Because if every time they get close to orgasm, they ejaculate, they will never going to get to experience this other kinds of orgasms. So they have to control their ejaculation and become aware of energy. So this energy can flush through their body without needing to come out through ejaculation. And then you can have a deeper experience with the woman as well, because as women, we're naturally multi-orgasmic, but we also need to learn to open ourselves up. That's why we need to trust the man that we are with. And we need to learn how to open ourselves up. Sometimes we have traumas that we have to heal before, energy blockages. So we can tap into, so we can have multiple orgasms, that we can have one orgasm after the other, or we can have orgasms that may last minutes to like maybe an hour. Like I've had experience once that it was, I lost track of time. That was just became a big orgasmic experience for a few hours, you know, so. But this is more, and that's why we need the matching energy, you know, like someone that really has a matching energy with us. That's why there is only so much we can get on our own. There is a lot we can do on our own, but that is the power of when we combine, you know, masculine and feminine energy that are matching and in alignment together. Now, if the fire that you build is something new, unique, that you would not be able to build on your own, I would not be able to build on my own. Because now there is the mix of these two energies and what we're creating through that. And that's the sacred sexuality. And this can help us amplify our power of creation in life, in business. And that's why a lot of these couples, you know, as we call twin flames or soulmates, many times they even have work together that they do together, that it just helps them in their life in general. Because, you know, so that's a little bit of the sacred sexuality and different orgasms.
Beautiful. Thank you, and very concise. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Sounds amazing. Mayara, thank you so very much for your time and your wisdom and sharing all of those things with us. Real pleasure. So I will add all of the links that we've talked about, from your YouTube channel to your website and the course also in the show notes. Where are you happy for people to get in touch with you directly? And
Mayara, Mayara Healing Arts, and maybe you can type it my name because people don't know how to spell Mayara Healing Arts, and that's my website. That's all my social media platforms. On my website as well, they can, you know, ask questions there and send the forms through there. And I have weekly YouTube videos on these topics. I have my course, my challenge, and I do retreats too. So far, I don't have any retreats scheduled, but I may schedule soon once the travel situation is a bit easier, so we can get together and in person and do some work.
Beautiful.
So yeah, Mayara Healing Arts. And thank you for having me for this lovely conversation.
My pleasure.
Really
My
fun.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
So listen, people, take good care of your sensual, sexual, and sacred powers. You are worthy of them.
Yeah.
Have a lovely, lovely day. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.